Fahd al-Juhani. I'm continuing to study under him. I do tahqiq. It's a very special type of recitation that they do only after you've done hifz of hafs and you've become an expert in tajweed, makharij al-huruf and everything. Then you go on to the next level, which is tahqiq. And this will get you a sanad all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Start with the right frame of mind and to tie the clothing properly and to make sure I'm very clear about what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. But you've done Umrah before, right?
I've done Umrah, yes.
How many times?
I did Umrah 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
And then when we came back to Mecca,
Yeah.
when we did the Umrah a few days ago,
Okay.
that was the
mashallah.
second time.
Okay, okay.
So
I
I've
see.
done Umrah twice now.
So recently you've done it now?
No,
good,
no, the last few days.
Oh, to do it as part of the Hajj.
For the
The Umrah of Hajj, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I see.
So it was very nice to just to walk around the Kaaba,
Yeah,
to make tawaf, and just be part of the sea of moving
yeah,
people making dua and dhikr around you. And I saw one man. One of the things about the Umrah that kind of stood out for me, a very, very old man. And he walked like this.
slowly.
On his own, he was completely alone.
Yeah,
And he was doing sa'i. And sa'i took me a bit of time to complete. And I did the run, the part where you pick up your speed. And the one time I came down, I saw this old man and he was like walking like this
mashallah.
in the sa'i. It was really amazing to see how someone that,
So much dedication.
yes, that his physical abilities are now weak,
Yeah,
but he still has this longing to please Allah
to please Allah.
and to do what Allah requires of him. And some of us are just slightly tired.
Yeah,
We don't want to get up and go to the masjid
yeah.
or do something simple.
Well, look
Might
at
be
him.
lazy,
Yeah,
but there are these people who are pushing themselves. They lost a bit of energy and physical ability to worship Allah. It was a very kind of outstanding thing for me.
may Allah give us same energy and same dedication, you know,
I mean, in our old age.
to do this. Even right now, you know,
Yes.
because like you said, you know, some of us is taking this for granted. And even
Yeah,
you know, in Saudi, mashallah, masjids are everywhere.
Yes.
You know, even if it's anywhere in the world. And some of us, you know, we can't even go for like a prayer in masjid.
Yes.
But look at this dedication, mashallah.
Yes.
You know, he's coming from which country, Allah knows, all the way here.
I would have loved to have spoken to him
Yeah.
and greet him and just find out from him.
You know, that's
what
the
he's
thing,
experiencing.
mashallah, when you come to Hajj, one of the beautiful thing is when you meet these different people from different countries, you know, and you understand their situation, their background, you know, how much they try to come and how much is in their love, you know,
Yes.
for actually completing the Hajj.
Yes.
It amazes you, you know, their stories. And alhamdulillah, Allah gave me previously opportunity to do Hajj twice before.
MashaAllah.
I did it once alone, and the second time I did it with my wife.
Very
so, alhamdulillah, I came with the first time also with a different group of people. They were mainly students. And then the second time we were with a group of people from different countries, you know.
A mixed, okay,
Mixed.
nice.
We had people from Pakistan, from Egypt, from Jordan. We had people from Saudi, everywhere.
Okay, very nice.
And it was good
experience how
to
everyone-
talk to each person, you know.
Yes.
And for my wife, the same way, you know, she had that exposure to women from different countries, you know, and to find out about their life as overall, you know, and how they manage, you know, the stories behind each one of them, like how they managed to come to Hajj and what they felt like
Yes.
coming to Hajj, you know. And when I was Hajj, you know, inshallah, you will experience same thing. Is because Mina, mashallah, is a big place. It's a big place, you know, and a lot of people they can't find their way back. You know, somehow they get separated from the group because it's much easier, you know, to get separated. And then because some of them very old, they can't even some of them can't read directions and maps, you know, so they are totally lost. So sometimes it gives you the opportunity to help these people, you know, to just even to show them the directions or to take them there, you know, just to make an effort.
Yes.
And maybe because of that small thing that you do, maybe Allah accepts your Hajj, you know, and rewards you for it. So alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity on that same day where we went to Mina and then came back for Tawaf. And on the way back, there was one Indian couple, very old, mashallah, beautiful man. He had this noor in his face, you know, with his old wife, and they were lost. Then somehow we came and spoke in Urdu with me, and alhamdulillah, somehow I understand a little bit of Urdu. So they were looking back for their tents, and he was asking for directions. So fortunately, I was in the near same location, and I asked him. I said, "Okay, come along with us, you know, because we are going the same way." It was me, my wife, and them too. And we got on train, then came back to Mina, and we went to the direction of where their tents were. So, mashallah, you know, just on the way, even going back to their place, is the amount of dua him and his wife, you know, they were making for us is something that goes through your heart. You know, you just say that, mashallah, you know, I just need dua from people just to make some dua, and it's nothing. I mean, what did I do? I was coming to the same place, and I didn't do even any effort. You know, but just for them, it was a big thing because they said, you know, Allah sent you like an angel for us, because otherwise we would have been lost. We could not get back. But for me, it was effortless, you know.
Yes.
And
Allah gave you an opportunity
to
do something easy, but to take a big reward.
Exactly.
Out of it.
Wa alaikum salam. Brother Ismail, come. Wa alaikum salam.
I just want to tell you one story that an incident happened in Ghana.
Yes.
I want to share it with you.
Please.
Yeah.
Please share.
Yeah, what happened is that somebody died in Ghana. He's not a Muslim. So they took him to the cemetery to actually bury him. And we all know that, I mean, if somebody died, they bury him, the angels ask him questions in the grave. We all know about that. So there was these guys, they want to be sure that actually when somebody dies, he's been questioned in the grave. So they took a recording device.
They want to be sure.
Yeah, they want to be sure.
They want to listen.
They want to listen to what will happen in the grave. So they took a recording device and then they inserted it in the coffin. Then they buried it. So about 3 days' time, they went and opened the grave, and then they removed the recording device.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And then they took it to
Brother
the house.
Abbas, come.
So they call everybody to sit down, and then they just play it and see what actually happened. Subhanallah. Immediately they just press play, a thunder strike.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, thunder strike, and it's like all of them, they nearly died. So they were rushed to the hospital. That it tells people how much actually you have to believe that if you die, you will actually be questioned in your grave. Understand? So it's real. It's real that actually if you die, you go to face some questions in your grave. They try to listen to what will happen, and look at what happened to them. You cannot listen to the words of Allah. You see? You can't know what will happen in the grave. So look at
May Allah protect us, you know, and that's why we come to Hajj, for Allah to forgive our sins, you know, so that we are protected from the punishment of the grave.
Yes.
It's a big test.
It's a very big test, yeah. Very big test.
Wa alaikum salam, brother, come. Abu Abdullah, come, please. Okay, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. We're discussing about Hajj and the different experiences previously that those of us who had the opportunity to come to Hajj before and through some of the, meeting different people and trying to somehow, like, if we get the opportunity to help them, if possible, so.
The first timers, they might forget rituals and situations.
Yes.
It's good to always remind them. And especially once you get after Min and Arafah, you get very tired.
Yes.
And you easily forget things.
Exactly.
It's very important for us to keep to remind each other.
Yes.
You forget to have patience. You forget the right time. You forget to even take care of yourself. And
Yes.
to have something to eat, to drink, because you can easily get dehydrated, especially in this heat. So all those things, reminders are very, very important.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm gonna be latching on to a few people because for me it's the first time.
And you can get lost very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens even with experienced Hajjis, you can get lost very easily because the crowds are just moving.
Yeah.
Once I went with the hum of the group, they went this way and I thought I saw them this way and I followed this group and I ended up 10 tents down here.
Yes.
I stayed in a different group. I joined them when we came back to Mecca.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Inshallah.
but Abbas, do you have anything to share with us?
Hajj is I think is an experience which I'm going to have, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And I'm very excited to be, once we got into Ihram, the feelings have changed altogether.
MashaAllah.
And as you said, Hajj is an experience in itself. My feelings right now are inexplicable. I don't know how to express myself. This is the first time I'm going to, mashallah, to perform Hajj. And hopefully, inshallah, it is a Mabrur Hajj.
Inshallah. All of us.
I think my inner feeling is things become a whole lot easier.
The guest is going to sit in the middle, central.
Things
Inshallah.
become a whole lot easier when we say dua. We ask Allah's support and help in our matters. Then things work in strange ways.
Salam.
Ibrahim, how are you?
This place for the guests to come. Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikh, I can't easily.
Sit here.
Come here.
Yeah.
Come. Inshallah. How's everything okay?
Alhamdulillah.
Are you excited? Very excited.
Really.
You have to be excited. You have to have energy.
Really, yes.
Because it's today. Then you're moving to Mina, then Arafah,
That is it.
and then moving back to Muzdalifah on the way back.
Mashallah.
You need the energy.
And
Don't exhaust yourself
being
too.
in Ihram
long.
also is another message.
Sa.
Yeah, being in Ihram tells you that now, for the purpose of which you made your journey to Makkah, you have started.
Sa.
Yeah, so
The mark of the actual Hajj.
That is it.
The mark
so
of the Hajj.
there's every reason for you to be excited.
MashaAllah,
Really,
mashallah,
really,
mashallah.
really.
Subhanallah.
We pray to Almighty Allah to give us the needed strength and the energy
Mashallah.
so that we will be able to
MashaAllah.
complete.
And also
your Hajj.
the viewers in Ghana, back home, I think they're very proud to see
Really,
representatives
really, yes,
here.
yes, yes.
Very
MashaAllah.
Such good positive.
Yes,
Mashallah, mashallah.
so in as much
What
as
message would you give to the brothers and sisters back home in Ghana regarding the Hajj? What message would you give?
Alhamdulillah, they should trust and hope that everything is going on successfully. In terms of organization, perfect.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah, the Saudi government and those ministries responsible for the activities, they've done their work very well and everything is moving on successfully. And we, in as much as we will remember them in our prayers,
MashaAllah.
they should also remember us in their prayers. And we hope that if Allah was come next year,
most of them who were not able to make it this year will make it next year, inshallah.
Inshallah. Allah will provide the means.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
I have one question. What is the exact meaning of word Hajj? Exact
We
meaning.
talked about that in the previous session, didn't we? We mentioned it in the previous session. They talked about that word Hajj. What do you see as the meaning of Hajj? In terms of the linguistic meaning?
Linguistic meaning.
The Arabic linguistic meaning.
Linguistic.
We'll leave
meaning.
these questions up to our guest. He's coming soon, inshallah. So until he comes, and we'll put this as part of the discussion, opening the discussion with our guest, inshallah. Okay? Alhamdulillah. So inshallah.
I will be nearer to the guest.
Welcome. I'm Zira.
Sheikh Abdurrahim, كيف حالك طيب؟ How's everything okay? Good to see you again.
Ibrahim.
Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Abbas.
Please, Sheikh Abdurrahim, take a seat. Take a seat. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, Sheikh, when you were coming in, we were talking about the very word Hajj. What exactly is meant by that word?
What's the linguistic meaning in Arabic of the word Hajj?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa
Okay,
salam
yes,
ala
yes,
rasulillah. It's important. تفضل يا أخي، هنا.
Sit here.
Anything we have in Islam, there's a linguistic meaning and a technical meaning or an Islamic meaning. For Hajj, the linguistic meaning is al-qasd, to mean something, to want to reach a place. And here, we're talking about when it comes to the Islamic meaning, to reach or to come to Hajj during a specific time. I mean, the months of Hajj, which is the Shawwal and Dhul Qa'dah and 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, or 9 days of Dhul Hijjah, and some scholars say all of Dhul Hijjah, to do specific acts or rites as a worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the general meaning of Hajj.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Anything new has come up the last few days, Sheikh Ibrahim? Anything interesting, experiences, encounters to share with the audience?
Well, alhamdulillah, thus far hasn't been too much, alhamdulillah. Everything's been pretty normal, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. No drama?
No, alhamdulillah, everything's been very, very good. A very good system this year. It seems thus far very organized, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And
We pray it continues like that.
we also got Tawaf finished, which is a great thing.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
You know, last year it was almost half completed. We had a problem.
Yeah,
in
it's true,
Ramadan.
yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, it's completed so that.
No, they're doing it, and each year they keep improving, mashallah, and doing better things to make it more organized. And it's also upon us, and we have to realize a lot of times we put everything on the organizers, but also it's upon us as the pilgrims who are taking part to also be organized and to follow the instructions. And it's all a team effort.
Good point. Good point.
It doesn't matter how much the Saudis organize it if the people are not organized. Like what happened last year when the Iranis came and pushed the opposite direction.
Exactly right.
And and wanting to cause fitna, and they did, and people were killed because of that, because of them going the opposite direction.
True.
And it's very clear and it's laid out, and all the people who are in charge of all of the camps,
True.
all of them know which direction they're supposed to be going.
Exactly right. And if they saw something wrong, alert the authorities, alert the people.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even down to something small like not leaving your rubbish on the ground.
That can trip people up.
Yeah. Because it makes a big problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So these are all important things. And I was just saying to the brothers, some of the brothers, this is their first Hajj, and I was saying, the next few days, you really have to be a team because you're going to forget something. Either you forget your patience, or you forget to eat or drink properly, or you forget certain things. The importance of brotherhood and working together and helping each other, not just in the Hajj itself, but just amongst each other, is very, very important in the next few days.
Exactly. One of the key objectives of Hajj is the issue of the brotherhood, the akhuwa and the ummah, and help and coming together as one ummah. And that's one of the things that we revive during the Hajj, subhanAllah. And like you said, some of the patience, especially if you've never been for Hajj before, ya akhwan, you have to realize you're about to be tested. Tested in ways you didn't know were humanly possible.
A great limit.
I was telling a story the other day on another TV program, something that happened to me. It was in Hajj in 1425. And the brother I was with, mashallah, we stayed late, maybe 7-8 days after Hajj. So we went to make the tawaf al-wada' before we left. And we went down on the next to the Kaaba itself. It was still a bit crowded though. So we said, let's go upstairs. Because we weren't in a hurry. And we want to just focus on making dhikr and dua. So it take 2-3 hours upstairs, no problem. We have all the time in the world. We're in a hurry. SubhanAllah, so we go upstairs,
And as we're making the tawaf around, there's nobody there, nobody.
Subhanallah.
And this one, Saudi youth, he comes and, he's in a hurry. He wants to finish with his client so he can go to another one.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
And he's got this lady in the wheelchair. He's pushing her around. And there was nobody. It was just us four, and he wants to cut the corner and get closer to save like 2 or 3 seconds, And he takes the wheelchair and goes straight into my
nice one.
my leg, and just rips it open
To a
right
chunk
away,
open.
and the blood comes out,
Wow.
And for me, if it happened like during Hajj, the patience would have been easier. But I mean, the fact there was no excuse for you coming next to him when there's nobody else there,
Exactly.
it was very difficult. But then, so I remembered, this is Hajj.
And
you can imagine, Tawaf al-Wada', all of that.
At the last second.
It's about to all go,
You don't know when Allah's going to test you.
Oh, that was a
know.
big test, alhamdulillah.
It's like,
That year also was the year when there was a lot of big floods. We decided to stay after. Our group actually left on the 12th.
Okay.
And we decided to stay in the tent. It was me and some other brothers. And one of the brothers had his sister with him as well. And subhanAllah, that was when the floods came. And just like right after our group left, the floods came and took all of our food, all of our, our bedding and what have you. It was a big test,
and you
alhamdulillah.
still managed to do the Hajj.
Alhamdulillah,
So even without provisions,
alhamdulillah, we
you
finished,
managed to do
alhamdulillah.
it, subhanAllah.
We grabbed our bag that had our personal things. That's all the time we had. It was that quick the water came in.
Subhanallah.
It just took everything.
Tell us about yourself. I mean, where are you from?
Some of the viewers might not know you.
Some of the viewers.
No, the viewers should know me because I have a lot of, I have a lot of shows on Huda TV. If they don't know me, I will be upset.
Alhamdulillah.
My name is Abdurrahim McCarthy. I'm an Irish American, born and raised in the U.S. And I studied in Islamic University of Medina. After I became Muslim in 1994, alhamdulillah.
Long time ago.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so more than half of my life is in Islam now, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Then I went to Medina. I stayed in Medina for 10 years, alhamdulillah, studying in the university and with the scholars outside. And since I graduated, I worked for some time in education.
Good.
Then I retired because they told me that there's been some studies that most teachers die right after retirement, They say after 60, they usually don't make 65, huh? The stress of the job. Now, now I'm just focusing full time on da'wah and on media and what have you.
Excellent.
So I have a lot of alhamdulillah shows on Huda TV and Peace TV and other alhamdulillah.
Excellent, mashallah, mashallah, tabarakallah, jazakallah khair.
Can I ask you, this day of Hajj, the day of Tarwiyah, what are the things that we should be ideally doing? What are the best things we could be doing on this day? Because it's like a day of preparation.
Being on Huda TV reminding the Ummah is the best thing, huh? So being live on Huda TV reminding the Ummah about the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah.
For example, when we will be going soon to Mina, and those that are there, what should we occupy ourselves with in this time?
So it's something interesting that each day of the Hajj has a different name, and obviously the first day is the 8th day, the day of Tarwiyah, and this is the day where they used to prepare themselves and prepare their water, get as much water as they could in themselves and in their vessels and take it with them, because obviously during those days you didn't have any an Arafah and Muzdalifah, there wasn't water available, so they prepare themselves. It was a day of preparation, but even it was as a day of preparation for the physical things that we need to take with us for Hajj and be prepared for Hajj. It should remind us these things that we're getting our provisions ready to prepare ourselves mentally and spiritually as well. The same question you asked, what should we be doing during all of these days? Because a lot of the times, especially in the times we live in, what's going to be a big fitna for everybody is these telephones. Yeah. Instead of focusing on what we're supposed to be focusing on, we're chatting, and taking selfies of ourselves and stuff like this. And it's not it's not the time to do it. I mean, if you take one or two for your family or something, it's not a problem. But it shouldn't be the main effort, obviously, of the person. And we sit around chatting with one another and on social media, and we lose this opportunity. We have to realize it's only 5 or 6 days, the Hajj. So you have to make every minute count. And that's why, subhanAllah, when you see from the Sunnah is the talbiyah. We should make it all the time. We should make dhikr all of the time without stop. So you need to prepare yourself from this day to see what do you want to accomplish. I have today Tarwiyah, tomorrow I have Arafah, then I have Muzdalifah. To know exactly what you're going to do, not just from the rulings of the ahkam, what is a rukn, what is wajib, what is the essential components that you have to have, what are the things that are wajib, compulsory, what are the things that are sunnah. Okay, that's important. Every Hajj has to know this. But also, how can I benefit spiritually from these actions? So obviously the best things that we can do during these days, when you're preparing yourself, the Prophet ﷺ, he ordered the Sahaba who came with him for the day for Hajj, those who made tamattu. Obviously, they left the state of Ihram because he ordered them to do so. The ones who didn't bring the hadi with them, he ordered them to go to tamattu and change their Hajj, the niyyah to tamattu. So they made the tamattu and they left the Ihram. They ordered them in the morning of the tarwiyah to go back into the state of Ihram, and they entered into Mina after Dhuhr. So there's a sunnah if it's possible, but obviously with the different Hajj groups now, some go at different times to make it easier, and that's something actually better, because it makes it better for the ummah. And once we talk about being a team effort, everybody, like we say, want to throw the jamarat, everybody throw it at the same time. It's not possible for 2-3 million people to go to the same place.
Like back in the old days, I mean, it was extremely difficult in the old days.
Exactly.
I remember doing Hajj with the single pillar. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was incredible. It was like you make your dua before you go in, and your shahada as well.
Exactly.
It was really difficult. Like now it's luxury. Luxury.
SubhanAllah. Allah bless him. Very, very good. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so then he would pray Dhuhr, Asr, and Maghrib, Isha in Mina, all of them praying Qasr, 2 rakats, obviously, except for Maghrib, and without combining though. And then into the morning, and then going towards Arafah, and he stopped before going to Arafah, and then entered Arafah after Dhuhr. So during this day, like all of the days of Hajj, it's ibadah. Remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua, reciting the Quran, these are the best things you can do during the time. And also, like some people like to read a book, maybe something about seerah, something about tafsir. That's also good. It's also a form of ibadah. Seeking knowledge and learning about the deen is also a form of knowledge. And what you can do, I always recommend people to focus on 2 things, 2 core things. To focus on doing different things at different times. Don't try to do one thing all the time because it's going to become boring. So you need to have a tashkil.
Change up.
Yeah, change it up, to mix it up, right? Sometimes you read some Quran, but if you read Quran for 3 hours, maybe it's going to become difficult. You read Quran maybe for 30 minutes, then you make some dhikr, and then, make some dua, and then like this. So this is going to be during all of the days. And Arafah, we're going to focus more on dua, inshallah, we'll mention probably a little bit later. But even during the days of Tashriq, when you're in the tents in Mina, it's all going to be the same, these types of ibadah. Don't focus too much on socializing with the brothers around you. You have to have some social activities. It's okay to joke, which is halal, to have a laugh or something, but not, you don't want it to make it something like we're in the streets and we want to remember that we're in the state of Ihram when we're in Hajj, and focus on these things. These are the key things that we need to focus on. Also, I recommend the people always focusing on your strong point, because some people, they can read a lot of Quran. So if that's your thing, bismillah. Some people, they can make dua for a very long time. So your strong point, also focus on doing as much of that as you can, because that's going to help you be able to do more and more ibadah during this time, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. We have a lot of questions that came in, I believe from viewers and even some of us. So I'm just going to ask some of these if you don't mind. A person who is performing Hajj Ifrad, are they required to perform Tawaf Qudum, or can they directly go to Mina?
Now, he makes Tawaf Qudum. He has to make Tawaf Qudum. What he doesn't have to do is the Sa'i. He has the option for the Sa'i to either do it then or delay it until after the Tawaf al-Ifadah. But the Tawaf al-Qudum, he must do it when he comes, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah. The second question.
Unless obviously he's somebody who's from Ahl Mecca, that's different. We're talking about the people who come from outside, then yes, he has to make it.
Okay. Are we required to spend the night in Mina? If so, what is the penalty?
Yes,
I believe, I'm not sure which day they're talking about, but the question just says, are we required to spend
all of the days of Mina except for tonight. Tonight, which is the first night, which is the day of Tarwiyah, this is Sunnah.
Okay.
If you don't go to Mina tonight, it's no problem. But it's Sunnah we should try to do. What's important, Ikhwan, we need to realize that the Hajj has pillars, which are the essential components. If any of these are not met, the Hajj won't be accepted, no matter what. Even if you do it out of ignorance, the Hajj is not accepted. Then you have that which is wajib, which is compulsory, and then you have that what comes after that is all sunnah. So it's important you know these. The pillars, quickly, obviously, Arafah.
Ihram.
Ihram.
Arafah.
And Arafah.
Tawaf.
And Ihram, what's meant is the niyyah, the intention to come in. And then the Arafah, and then the Tawaf and the Sa'i. These are the 4 that must be done. If they're not done, the Hajj won't be completed. So there's no way you can come and say, for example, is there a penalty for that? Because if you didn't meet any of these, then the Hajj is not accepted. The other ones that are wajib, that's when obviously the penalties come. The stay in the night in Mina, this is from the things that are wajib. It must be done. Not the night of Tarwiyah. And you're talking about the other nights.
Yeah, the other nights.
Which is going to be from the 10th, 11th, and the night of the 12th. The 13th is optional. If you leave before Maghrib on the 12th, then that's, so you have those 3 nights where you must be. Yeah, that's on the 12th if you're going to leave early. So these nights you must be there. So what does it mean to spend the night there? You must be, as the scholar said, the majority of the night. Majority of the night. You don't have to stay the entire night.
So that'll be about 4.5 hours or so.
So you take Maghrib, right? And then
From Maghrib
Yeah,
to
but see, this is important. There's two things that are important that people get confused on. First of all is, how do we do it? Because people say it's midnight. No, that's not how we do the night. We divide the night by Maghrib and Fajr.
which is about 8 hours, 8.5 hours.
No, I think there's more like 11 now. Is it from 6:30 to
6:30 to 4:30.
4:30?
So that's, yeah.
No, it's
12, huh?
4:50. 4:50
4:50, yeah.
to 6:27.
10
Yeah,
hours.
about 12 hours.
10 hours.
10 hours.
10 hours.
10 hours.
Yeah, so the
Yeah, 10 hours. 6:50 to 6:30 is a 12 hour, and minus 2 hours is 10 hours.
yeah, it's about 10 hours. Yeah, so about 10 hours. So you add 5 to 6:30. So we what around 11:30. So that's that. More than that, you need to be more than
About 1 o'clock.
Yeah, more than half an hour. But it doesn't matter if you're in the first part or the second part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's important is that you're there for the majority of the night. That's why many of the Hujjaj, they stay like, maybe 6-7 hours there during the night, and then they go to their hotels afterwards during the day. There's no problem with that. So what's compulsory is that we're there for the majority of the night, inshallah ta'ala. Also, what people need to understand when they say, because
That is on the 8th of the Zulhijjah.
no, this is Sunnah tonight. 8th is Sunnah. So we're talking about
After
from
Arafah. After Arafah.
yeah, after Arafah, the 10th and the 11th, and then the 12th if you're going to stay to the 13th after that. So yeah, another thing people understand, they call it al-mubit, sleeping, because they translate sleeping in Arab. And you don't have to actually sleep. You can go worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do ibadah if you want. It's up to you. You can sleep a bit and make dhikr a bit. You don't have to sleep. Some people feel like you actually have to go fall asleep there in order for it to be correct, and that's not.
But the question here is, what is the penalty if you don't stay in Mina?
Yeah, if you don't stay in Mina, then you have to slaughter a sheep as a fidya for not sleeping there.
For each day?
Yeah.
For each day or for the 3 days?
Yeah, well, I would say for the 3 days is better because each one is wajib.
Yes.
Or some scholars say just for one, but Allahu Alam.
Next question is, our Hajj group won't be spending the night in Mina. Should we still shorten our prayers, and when can we join them? So meaning, let's say someone's in Aziziyah, for example, or let's just say the person's not in Mina, and it's the 8th day. Can they shorten their prayers outside of Mina?
You mean on Mina today?
On the 8th, I believe.
Yeah. Then it's fine. They can shorten the prayers inshallah.
On the 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole time you're in Mecca, if you're not a resident and you're coming for Hajj, you shorten your prayers. Unless you pray obviously with the congregation, then who's in during the regular days, like in a masjid they pray for, then you pray for with them. That's important as well, because some people they shorten their prayers when they pray behind an imam who's not shortening his prayers, and that's not permissible. That's wrong. You'll find that they give salams after 2 rakats and they sit there, and that's not permissible. They say, but I'm a traveler. I say, no, that's only if he's a traveler as well. But because the Prophet said, "Inma ju'ila al-imam liyutamma bihi," the imam was put there to follow.
Jazakallah khair. One quick one. Our Hajj group will be leaving directly for Mina for Arafah at midnight. Is this acceptable?
Yeah, no problem. But once again, why people are doing this? Because they say they're going into Mina after Dhuhr, like the Prophet did. This is Sunnah. Okay, you have to be there after Dhuhr. The time to be there is from Dhuhr until Asr, Dhuhr until Maghrib. Sorry. So, and once you enter, and then you have to stay. Once you enter at that time, it becomes one of the wajibs upon you to stay until Maghrib time. But if you go in before that, even if you go in and you pray Fajr there, because a lot of people do that because of the crowds, it make it easier. And once again, this is something from the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have different options. And we can go in, because you imagine all of us try to go in at the same time, it's going to be possible. And then none of us will even enter on the time we're supposed to enter that way. Alhamdulillah, now it makes it much easier when you can enter at different times. So if your group goes, bismillah, you go whenever your group goes, inshallah.
Tahir, go ahead.
Our one brother asked to describe the complete details about the Hajj Qiran.
About Hajj Qiran. But the Hajj and the Qiran and the Ifrad are very similar. So it's easy to understand the two. And when you start with Qiran, obviously, you make the niyyah for Hajj and Umrah. But the difference is that you do not leave the state of Ihram. You do not leave the state of Ihram after you finish. The Tamattu is a complete Umrah. So it's similar. It's similar to that where you're going to offer the hadi, like in the Tamattu, but you're not going to leave the state of Ihram. And also the sa'i can be delayed as well. So it's basically the same thing as Ifrad. The only difference between Ifrad and Qiran is that you don't have the sacrifice for the ifrad. So you come, you make the Hajj, or you make the Tawaf al-Qudum, and then you have the option to make the Sa'i at that time, and then you will stay in the state of Ihram. That is what the Prophet ﷺ did. So you'll stay in the state of Ihram. If you come even in Shawwal, you have to stay in the state of Ihram.
So it's
That's
not
why
wise to do that kind of.
yeah, it's probably, it wouldn't be the best option, And the tamattu is better anyways to do. But I mean, the qaras you would do. And then you, after that, you finish everything like everybody else does on the 10th, from throwing the jamarat and offering your sacrifice and doing the tawaf and shaving the head or cutting the hair, and then so the difference is obviously you have the you don't have to do the sa'i like the tamattu, and you stay in the state of ihram. That's the difference between the Quran and tamattu. And the difference between the Quran and the ifrad is that the one who does the Quran, he offers the sacrifice, and the one who does the ifrad doesn't. And the best of them is, ya akhwan, what you know, is the tamattu. And especially for those who are coming from outside, because you're getting to do two acts of ibadah in one. And the Prophet ﷺ, he ordered the Sahaba to do it. He ordered them when he came, and he said, if I could have done it again, and he didn't bring with him the hadi, because he said, because the person who brings with him the hadi, if you were to bring your hadi with you in your pickup truck in the back, coming to Hajj now, then you wouldn't have the option to switch. But if you didn't bring it with you and you're going to buy here, then you have the option to switch. So you see, even the brothers and sisters who are watching us today, if they haven't, they should, if they're making Quran, they shouldn't switch. It's better to switch as well, inshallah, to make them.
Does anyone bring their?
I don't think it's possible to, unless you're coming from like the Badu,
Taif or something
from
like
the
that.
desert or something. It's almost impossible to find, but I'm just saying, just still, you mentioned it as a ruling, if somebody were to bring it,
Imagine that, dragging your own sheep all the way from Scotland, from Ireland.
Alhamdulillah.
The second question is, he came here to Jamia of Hajj Kiram. He asked if he did Umrah first and after finish the Hajj, did again Umrah?
No, to do Umrah again, this is not from the Sunnah. Once you do it, you don't perform the Umrah again. This was done permitted for Aisha radiallahu anha, because she was on her period and she wanted to do it, so she was permitted to go back and do it again. But for the majority of the people, the women who don't have that issue, and for the brothers especially, it's not from the Sunnah. Even some scholars, look at it as being like a form of bid'ah to do it again afterwards. So it's something to stay away from. I know a lot of people are excited; they want to get as much in as they can in one trip. But the best way to do it is to follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And none of him or the Sahaba ever they did an Umrah after the Hajj. Therefore, it's better to stay away from it, inshallah.
Sheikh Abdurrahim, just a question regarding Ihram. Some people have this issue regarding accessories, watches, glasses, whether it's jewelry and so forth for women.
Well, if it's jewelry for a brother, it's a problem. Because a brother shouldn't be wearing jewelry when it comes to earrings and necklaces and bracelets and what have you, because that's imitating women and not permissible for men to wear it, whether it's in Hajj or outside. But especially in Hajj, and if somebody wears something like that, definitely they need to take it off, inshallah. When it comes to other things like watches and glasses, no problem, alhamdulillah. Because what's forbidden, and people don't understand this, is that it's the clothes that have been tailored to the body parts. Okay? So if we're talking about a shirt that I wear, that's what's forbidden.
Or a pair of pants.
Pants,
Oh.
socks.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what's forbidden. But now even, let's say for example, if I didn't have this piece of ihram with me, and it happens sometimes you might lose it, what do you do? People don't know what to do.
Exactly right.
So if you can take a thobe, a regular thobe like we would wear outside, or a shirt, and you can wrap it around you the same way as you would wrap your ihram.
Oh, okay.
Without wearing it like you wear a thobe or a
So
shirt.
it's not fitted.
Yeah,
it's
as long
just a
as-
garment.
yeah, that's it. As long as it's not fitted, that's what's
Or
important.
anything else, a bed sheet.
Even if it has people, because people are like nobody, because what people didn't understand when the early scholars talked about the mukhiyat, that which has been sewn
Stitched,
and stitched, they understood it as anything that has any stitching in it. And that's not what's meant. What's meant is actually what's been stitched to fit a body part.
Okay.
So you have something that actually fits on like a shirt or the pants.
And even just a blanket. I mean, sometimes you got
that's
to,
it.
know how to fight. You can use a blanket.
You can use a blanket, exactly. You can use it instead of.
That's really.
if you lost.
Sometimes you want to change your clothes. Something might have happened.
Yeah, something if it happens, somebody could get lost and maybe in the crowd, or something gets spilled on it, and you need to change
Najasa.
it, or something impure, especially.
Yeah.
Or even if you spilled some food and you didn't feel comfortable, you could put a regular blanket or something, but just wrap it around you like that. It's no problem.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Yes.
Could we tie our ihram garments with a pin?
Yeah, no
Keep
problem.
it on?
Yeah, that's no problem.
So that's no problem?
No, it's no problem, inshallah.
Yeah, Sheikh, there are two scholarly views when it comes to the days of Hajj, beginning from first Shawwal. First says it ends on 10th of Zulhijjah. The second is of the view it continues till the very end of Zulhijjah. So it means if someone wants to do Hajj after the prescribed days of Hajj, he can do the Hajj after that as well?
Here, the majority of scholars say it's to the 10th. Some of them say it's to the 9th. And you have the Maliki who says the entire month. But then what they're meaning by that is not that Hajj that can be done, but it's from the months of Hajj. It's including all the months of Hajj. But it can't be done after that. Why? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Hajju Arafah. That Hajj is the day of Arafah. So if you go to stand at Arafah, you say, let's make it easier for everybody. Instead of standing on the 9th, we'll stand on the 12th or the 13th. Nobody's going to be there.
Yeah.
So we beat the crowds and we help everybody out, So if you come like that, you lose the Hajj. Because the Prophet, he said, Hajj Arafah. There's other things that can be delayed, like Tawaf al-Ifada. Tawaf al-Ifada itself can be delayed as well. Okay, you don't have to do it exactly on the 10th day. You can do that later during the months of Dhul Hijjah.
Remember the story of one of the sheikhs was telling us a story, a very funny story. The Hamla was at Arafah, everyone was there crowded, and they're missing one person. They thought they'd lost him. He was a new Haji, and I thought I'd lost him. He said, where is he? They're ringing him. Eventually he calls, says, where are you? He goes, I'm doing Tawaf. He goes, what are you doing there? He goes, there's no one here. It's wonderful. I'm kissing the black stone and it's fantastic. Come back quickly because you're going to miss your Hajj.
No, I actually heard someone who missed his Hajj because of that.
Subhanallah.
He was on his way and he looked and he said, there's nobody there. He said, this is what an opportunity,
So we are implying that one says that it continues till the very end of Zulhijjah, that the blessings of Zulhijjah it continues till the very end. This is what
Yeah,
they mean?
that enters in it. But I mean, obviously the Hajj cannot only be done during those days. The blessings continue and that, inshallah ta'ala. And also you can maybe delay some of the things like Tawaf al-Ifada during that time. But the Hajj can only be done during those, meaning especially Arafah can only be done during that time. And that's why some scholars said the 9th and some said the 10th. That's when you do the most of these, and then those are the days of Hajj. But you can't come and make the Hajj compulsory after that. You can't. So when you make Hajj after the 9th, it's impossible.
Sheikh, what is the rule regarding the touching of the black stone? Because most of the time, even though you see the place very crowded, yet people would like to struggle to tie the black stone.
It's a very important question. It's sunnah to touch it. Okay? And if you can't touch it, then you'll point towards it. And there's many mistakes that happen. From mistakes, you say people will struggle to do so much. And when people get in a small crowd like that, they harm themselves.
That's right.
They harm those around them.
That's right.
And they harm the entire people who are, circling around as well. Because when you stop in one area, it stops everybody else. And people don't realize from the ignorance that happens, even from the people who are not trying to touch it, the people who are doing the certain du'as.
Standing on the line.
Yeah. Because what it is now is that the sunnah is when you go by, you say Allahu Akbar or Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And you point, okay? You don't have to get parallel to it. You can just do it from your side. Like if that's the black stone there, I can do it like that. But what happens, people they look for the line, okay? And they're looking for the line. Once they find the line, they stop on it. And then they do things like this.
That's
Yes.
right.
And you see them doing all these crazy stuff like, what is this? And then some of them, they take out like a little dua book.
That's right.
Read it all.
And then he's stopping during the thing. He's looking at
About 3 minutes.
and he's reading. And then it starts to what? This is when the crowding starts. This is when the problems start. Why? Once again, because ignorance. He didn't study about how to make Hajj. Or somebody, he doesn't care. For me, the 2-3 million people who are here, I'm the most important. That I do it the way I want to do it. And he causes problems for everybody. Subhanallah. When all he had to do was just keep moving. If he keeps moving, it solves so many of the problems during the tawaf. But there's certain things that are sunnah we have to realize it's actually more ajr, more reward for me to leave it for the benefit of the ummah, of the general masses, than to do something that's going to cause harm for them. It's going to become a sin later for me.
Exactly.
Let's say, for example, now coming back to the black stone after you finish, and then you have your 2 rakats, and you have one of the forgotten sunnahs is to come back. But during Umrah it might be easy. But now if you do it, you're going to cause so much problem.
Exactly.
So these type of sunnahs you need to not do them during these days, because it's just not possible. It's not literally possible to do. So touching the black stone, I wouldn't even recommend doing it unless you were to find it completely open or something, which is not going to be possible. But if you were to find it open, Bismillah, and you touch it, You know, I wouldn't advise kissing it because if your head gets caught inside and you get pushed out, then science is against you there, huh? So it's very important to learn, ya akhwan, and each time, if you haven't read, that you read each day. Even subhanAllah, alhamdulillah, the group I'm going with, we have many scholars and students of knowledge with us, mashallah. So we're all in rooms together, the shuyukh. And you see, each day, you know, the brothers are reading. Even though they know, all of us, we forget, you know, we forget certain things. So it's always good to remind ourselves and to make sure that we know what we're doing before each day, inshallah, alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, I mean, is it permissible to go to...
You have your dua book. You're not going to stop at the black stone, are you, man?
I want to know whether it is permissible to go to Mina and then to Arafah with children.
Yeah, it's permissible, but you have to be careful once again. And then you might, if you're going to choose the times, I remember when I went with my family, we chose the times like for throwing during the night. We threw every night during the night because it wasn't possible to take, go with some. We had a newborn and a 2-year-old with us, so it just wasn't possible for us to go at other times.
Okay.
So my wife was no sooner to go at those times. I said, no way I'm taking it.
Say this time to
I mean, does it mean, when you go to the Arafat or Mina with your children, whatever activity you do, your child has done the same thing? The child you send them?
It depends if you put him in ihram or not. Okay. And obviously there's certain things that he can't do, like throw during this unless he's old enough. So in this case, you would do it for him. But if he's in ihram, then he has to do everything that you do. And stay away from everything that you stay away from.
Sheikh, this comes to mind. I've heard that if you perform Hajj of a child less than who has not reached the Islamic state of
puberty,
does that child, is he free from the Hajj responsibility on him when he
No. The scholar mentioned that the Hajj is accepted, meaning it's correct, the Hajj. But it's not counted as the Hajj al-Islam, meaning the pillar of Islam for the individual is not counted.
So he will still have to do it when
he still has to do it
because
one of the conditions, the 5 different conditions that must be met for the person to make Hajj before, it actually is starting with one of them is the puberty.
Okay.
So he has to puberty is a condition for the Hajj to be correct.
Okay. So what is the rule of a woman who is menstruating at this period?
She does everything except for the tawaf. The Prophet made it very clear, alhamdulillah. He said, if Ali, to Aisha radiallahu anha, do everything that the Hajj does except for the tawaf. Okay, so she can do everything. All right, so, but if she hasn't, unless she hasn't done the tawaf al-qudum, then the sa'i she would need to delay until after the tawaf as well. But if she had already done it, she could do the sa'i. But it's better that she does it obviously after the tawaf. There's an issue that comes up here, which is important to know. What happens in the day we live in, that if a woman can't, or she doesn't finish her menses until maybe 4 days after Hajj, 5 days after Hajj, and she hasn't made tawaf al-ifadah, and she's with a group who are going back down under, for example, at the end of the dunya, going to Australia, for example, and she's with a group, and a lot of the tickets now, if you miss your flight, you have to buy a complete new ticket, and it causes a problem for the family. So what does she do in this situation? Because obviously, all of the 4 imams in the schools, they mentioned that it's not permissible for her to make the tawaf. And that's clear from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ as well. And if you read what the scholars say, they say she has to wait until she finishes. All the books say she has to wait until she finishes. طيب, what should she do in this situation? It's a problem for her, for her family. I mean, maybe they can't even afford to buy the ticket and stay. Where are they going to stay? They have no place to stay.
Or a second time to come back is difficult.
It's impossible. Yeah, because you get another Hajj visa or you're going to get another Umrah visa and come back. It's not going to be possible for many people. So what does she do? Like the scholars mentioned, and it's very important to know, is that if there's certain medications she can take,
contraception or something to stop
to stop the menses, and it works and doesn't cause her harm, and it's given through a doctor who knows what they're talking about, then bismillah, she takes that, and that will help her stop, and then she finishes her Hajj inshallah before she goes. And she can delay tawaf al-ifadah until tawaf al-wada' as well. So she has some time. She's not, so if she takes that and it stops, bismillah.
If she doesn't take that option, what other option does she have?
The other option she has is to make tawaf during her menses. And this is an opinion of Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah and many of our shuyukh during this time, like Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, who said that it's permissible and this is out of necessity because she has no option. It's not like where she can come back or she can wait. She actually has to go. But you have to be very careful when using this fatwa. It really has to be a necessity.
Yeah.
If I can change my reservation
Yes.
without it being, or be a small penalty or something like that,
Yeah.
and it doesn't cause too much harm where I lose the tickets, and I have a place to stay while I'm here, even if I have to pay a little something for it. If I can find a solution, then I have to find the solution. So we're talking about necessity once the solution hasn't been found. It's important.
Absolute necessity.
Yeah. People realize there's really no way. It's going to cause really a problem for them if they're delayed. Then in this situation, she makes tawaf like this, and there's no penalty on her or anything. This is the correct opinion. And it solves a lot. It solves a lot of problems for the ones.
Especially in our time too. Like I said, it's very short. Even some people are working and so forth. They've only got that small holiday break to take, and it's got to coincide with Hajj as well in the same timing. So.
Sheikh, in this case, if the person joins Tawafu, Ifada and Tawafu with her,
you can do it as one tawaf.
Okay.
So you do it 7 times only. Don't do 14. You have the niyyah for tawaf al-ifada, and it counts as well as tawaf al-wada.
Okay.
There's no problem with this whatsoever.
Those who live within Saudi and they came for Hajj, do they have to do tawaf with that? Or because they're gonna come for, maybe the possibility is always there to come back for Umrah again and
No.
again.
If they're from other than the people of Mecca, yes,
Okay.
they have to make tawaf al-wada. Doesn't matter.
Because they don't leave. The people making don't leave. It's called the goodbye, the farewell tawaf.
That's it.
So
if you're from outside of
Tayyif
Mecca,
or something or Jeddah, that's different.
yeah, it has to, from people who are from outside, they'll do it. The people from inside, no, they don't do it.
Okay.
There's no difference just because he has the nationality. He still has to go to the miqat like everybody else. He's coming from outside, so he takes the same ruling.
Sheikh, this questioner is asking, the Prophet ﷺ, upon leaving Arafah and on his way to Muzdalifah, stopped to perform the call of nature and performed an incomplete wudu. What was the purpose of this wudu, and in what way was it incomplete?
I don't recall the exact hadith being incomplete like that, but I mean, what I remember is it was like a quick wudu. Maybe not with all of the sunnahs in it. But my understanding from the hadith, what I know is that it was a complete wudu, that the furud were met. But maybe it wasn't done with all of the sunnahs. Maybe he washed it, for example, 1 time instead of 3 times and did it quick or something like that. That's how I understood the hadith. From what I read in Arabic, I don't remember it, saying incomplete like that. Allahu Alam. But this has been confirmed yesterday. He stopped the call of nature and made wudu. It was like a quick wudu.
Jazakallah khair. Next question. Are there any specific supplications for the day of Tarwiyah?
No, for the day of Tarwiyah, nothing.
Next question. Should the state of Ihram be entered into before arriving at Mina or after?
For the state of Ihram, you can do it from Mina. If you go into Mina and do it from there, that's good. Or you can do it from your hotel, whatever is easier, inshallah, for you to do. But the timing, we should focus on the time. Like, we're not going to enter now Mina until nighttime. But we know from the sunnah is to do it from the morning time. So we did it from our hotels and we entered in the state of Ihram. So that's it. So if you have the ability to go to Mina and do it from there, Bismillah. Or you can just do it from where you are and then enter into Mina, inshallah.
Okay, Sheikh, for a person who has never performed Hajj before, I mean, is it advisable to rely on what you have learned and follow the process, or is it advisable to follow somebody who has never done the Hajj before?
No, and obviously the key thing is done Hajj before you. You need to first of all know how to make Hajj properly from your own research or from listening to some of the scholars teach you. This is the key thing. After that, you can benefit from other people about what's going to happen, what are you going to do when you go to this location, how is it going to be, these type of things you benefit from other people because they have experience. But make sure the experience you get from some people, maybe they've been making Hajj wrong for many of years as well. It's true, it happens a lot of times, but they don't have a lot of knowledge. So the Islamic side of it, take it from the scholars, take it from authentic books. You read for yourself, understand it. You don't understand anything, go ask the scholars. Many books have written that were very clear, very simple, alhamdulillah, about how to make Hajj. And then you can benefit from the people. Like, for example, when we go to Muzdalifah, what about the issue of the toilets? What about this? People can show you, when you go to the Jamarat, which way is the best way to go to avoid being crowded. You ask people who have experience then, because might not be in the books, fiqh and what you're studying, what have you. So you combine between those two, inshallah. And if you don't understand anything, always ask about the Islamic. This is very important. A lot of times, I heard some fatwa session the other day. Many people, when asked, for example, he's like civil servants who are working here. He's Saudi, right? So ask him, And unfortunately, he didn't have the taqwa to give him a proper fatwa, or to send him to the hundreds of places that they have for iftah here. From the scholars who will give him the proper iftah.
Do you see those booths even all around the place?
That's it. That's what's very important. A lot of them have translations into, I think, over like 12 or more different languages. So we need to always find the people who are certified to give fatwa and ask them. Don't just ask anybody you see in the street. Because this session we attended one of the sheikhs the other day, he was asked, the man, his wife didn't do tawaf al-ifadah because she had started her menses. And they said, "Khalas, since she already did tawaf, it's enough." And she went back to her. Now that was last year she made Hajj, and now he's asking this. She's like, "You messed up. Totally wrong. She has to come back." And the guy was shocked. He said, "But I asked." He said, "But who did you ask?" Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said, "Fasalu hadhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun." Ask the people of dhikr if you don't know. Okay, so here you have. Subhanallah, he went and asked a civil servant, and then he messed up his wife's Hajj. He has to go find her and bring her back. If she's not here, she has to come back from her country for Umrah later or something. It's a problem,
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Next questioner is asking here, what are some common mistakes pilgrims fall into on the day of Tarwiyah, the 8th day?
I'm trying to think here about
wasting time is probably the biggest one.
Yeah, that's the first thing that popped into my mind, was the wasting time.
And some people sleep the whole day
and
don't do anything else in the day.
Not taking advantage of it. I think a lot of the mistakes happen, I think, later, Tarwiyah, because I'm hoping that it's pretty clear, you go to Miran,
you sit there
and you
how can you mess up?
I mean, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm trying to do some brainstorm. Remember, is there any common mistakes?
Maybe combining, doing jump.
That's true. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Combining, that's a mistake. Or even others, they pray the complete prayer.
4.
They pray 4. So it actually should be 2 rakats, shortened prayers, and it should be at the time of.
Just for the viewers, Sheikh Ibrahim, why is it shortened? Why is the prayer shortened?
I mean, because the majority of people here, they're traveling. I mean, that's what the Prophet ﷺ did when he came. So obviously we follow what he did.
For the example, alhamdulillah.
Next question says, do you have any practical advice or tips for the day of Arafah and spending the night in Muzdalifah?
No.
Practical tips.
When it comes to Arafah, it's very important when you realize the status of this day and the importance of this day in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that this is the most day that people will be freed from the hellfire is the day of Arafah. And so you need to, like we always talk about this, the importance of getting into the zone. That's what the brother asked about the question, what should we be doing in Tarwiyah? This is getting into that zone. Tomorrow I'm going to Arafah, and I'm going to benefit from this time. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? How did he do it? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to focus on benefiting from this time. Best of my ability.
You've only got one shot at it.
That's it. And we have to realize the time we have there, usually, the time, it's going to be from Dhuhr until Maghrib. And realize, ya Akhwan, something very important for those who are coming for the first time, you don't really have to Maghrib. We're going to be in full ibadah mode. The hour before Maghrib, usually your group is going to start getting ready to move to Muzdalifah.
And some will move.
And some will move.
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
But
you actually have to stay. The correct opinion is you have to stay until Maghrib. You're not allowed to leave before Maghrib. But a lot of them get in the bus and get in this, so you're going to get out of that zone. So you're not going to have that opportunity really to be focusing on dua and dhikr and what have you the entire time. So it's going to be an even shorter time than what you think you have. So and you need to get in that mindset of what you're going to do. You realize, first of all, this is the most day people will be free from the hellfire. So I have to focus in my dua on making sure that, inshallah ta'ala, I get free from the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the best dua is the dua of Arafah. And people ask about what type of dhikr and dua should we make. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, what is the best dua that he said, me and the prophets before me used to say? La ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika la, lahul mulku wa lahul hamd, huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Very simple dua that almost all of us know, alhamdulillah.
We say it every day.
Every day,
we say it every day.
So this is a dua that we should focus on, and a dhikr. And if you don't use it in your dua, use it in your dhikr. Because we say we're going to be switching it up a bit, right? Making some dua, making some dhikr. The Prophet ﷺ, what did he do during the day of Arafah when he entered? It's important to know. We talk about the practical tips. You enter into Arafah and you pray Dhuhr and Asr. When? Right away, as soon as you enter. Pray Dhuhr and Asr, Jam'u Taqreem. And you're praying Qasr, 2 rakats, praying right together, one after the other, and not delaying it, as soon as possible. What is the objective of this? is to be prepared for the dua, the day of dua. Arafah is the day of dua. Subhanallah. And we need something very important as well that many of the viewers need to know, and the brothers as well, if you didn't know, fasting the day of Arafah. What is the ajr, the reward of fasting on the day of Arafah?
For the people outside of Arafah or the people at Arafah?
Yeah.
So what is the hadith, the general hadith, what does it say in the hadith? Right?
For the people outside?
Outside, yeah.
Okay, for the people outside.
Expiation of sins.
Expiation of sins past and present for 1 year.
Yeah, past year and future year.
2 years.
And 2 years, yeah. So amazing opportunity. So somebody here's for Hajj, he said, you know what, it might be difficult, but I'm not going to miss this opportunity. I'm fasting. What do we say to this person?
Don't fast.
It's going to have this previous sins.
Yeah,
All those years.
It's already done.
it doesn't matter because now here you have another opportunity to get your sins forgiven. And we say even more reward is not to fast. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ himself didn't fast.
Exactly.
And if it was better to fast, he would have fasted and he would have encouraged his ummah to fast, alayhi salatu wasalam. He didn't do that. And the scholars mentioned one of the hikmahs, the wisdom behind this, is in order to have the strength, the quwwah, to be able to focus on the dua.
To perform that, yeah.
Dua of Arafah. The Prophet ﷺ, we know what he did because we want to follow in his footsteps, alayhi salatu wasalam. He focused on making dua. He stayed the whole time, from Dhuhr until Asr, making dua. So we're going to say roughly, what is it, about 4 or 5 hours?
4 hours about, yeah.
Making dua. The only time he would stop is if somebody came to him for iftar, to ask him about what to do. So he would answer them and then immediately turn to dua. So this is what we need to be doing. Obviously we said you can stop and make some dhikr, maybe you can read some Quran, okay, but the majority of what we want to focus on this day is in the dua. And we want to focus on this dua being a special dua. We really feel it, something which comes from the heart. Because for the dua to be accepted, there's certain things that, adab and conditions that must be met. And from them, obviously, the heart is present, it's there. They're not just making dua, like one of these.
Yeah,
looking at your messages, making dua. Yeah, it doesn't work like that, The heart has to be there in the dua, focusing on the dua.
Allah.
Quick on the fasting on the day of the Arafat. I mean, you say our sins will be forgiven for the past year and then the subsequent year. I don't know. The sins that will be forgiven, are they specified? Because somebody can just go and commit greater sin. I may be thinking that...
What the sins that are going to be forgiven for the one who fasts Arafah are the minor sins.
Minor sins.
We stay away from the major sins. Okay. The major sins, the only way they can be forgiven is by obviously making tawbah from them 100% and leaving them. These things, the day of Arafah or Friday to Friday and things like this, they'll forgive the small sins. Except for when it comes to the Hajj, subhanAllah. And Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, he talked about this, that when the hadith, Man hajja lillah, فَلَمْ يَرْفُثْ وَلَمْ يَفْسُقْ رَجَعَ كَيَوْمْ وُلِدَتْهُ أُمُّهُ. Whoever makes the Hajj for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a reminder of the ikhlas, the importance of sincerity in the Hajj. And he doesn't have the rafath, which is the intercourse with your spouse. And also the rafath, as the scholars mentioned, is like ill speech comes in it as well. And fusuq is all forms of sin, major and minor sins. Okay, he comes back like the day he was born from his mother, free from sins. And here, as some of the scholars mentioned, like Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, and this is the correct opinion, is that there wasn't any differentiation made if it was just for small sins or not, so it's general. I mean, even the major sins into this. But obviously, if you return to them afterwards, then you're going to be held accountable again. from the start. I mean, obviously the old ones don't come back, you know. But so this is the beauty of Hajj, and that's why we're talking about focusing on it. And back to the adab of Arafah, and this is very, very important for all of us to remind ourselves and to remind the viewers and everybody as well, that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned in the story of Al-Fadl ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, when he was entering, and before they entered into Arafah, and it seems he saw some sisters who he kept looking at, you know, and he kept turning back and looking. So the Prophet ﷺ was turning his face away, and he told him that whoever protects his sam' and his basar and his lisan, meaning his eyes and his ears and his tongue on this day, the day of Arafah, that he will be forgiven of his sins. So this is something we need to focus on, is that we talk about getting into that zone, staying away from all forms
of distractions
that are haram, and all haram activities during that time, as before we enter and once we enter, staying away. And it's also a reminder to the sisters about the importance of wearing proper hijab, and not wearing makeup, not wearing attractive things like this. They're going to make people look at her. And what happens if she does this? She goes into Arafah getting the sins for distracting the people, and the one looking at her gets the sins and misses the opportunity to benefit from this. With the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever protects his eyes and his ears and his tongue on this day, that Allah he will be forgiven. Yughfar lahu. So it's a great opportunity. So these are the main things we need to focus on when it comes to entering into to Arafah, inshallah ta'ala. It's important to point out the time. Now, you're allowed to enter at any time. Like we mentioned, even from midnight, from Fajr, the day before, it's permissible to enter. But the actual sunnah time to enter is after Dhuhr. But if you enter in the morning, many of us will probably enter in the morning with our groups, as it'll be easier in different shifts to enter like that. And that's better in a way so you can prepare yourself for Dhuhr and Asr. Because if you go in and you get in like halfway between Dhuhr and Asr, then you missed a lot of the opportunity. So after we pray Dhuhr and Asr and we focus on the dua, the timings. What are the timings of Arafah? It's very important because the Prophet ﷺ, he says, Al-Hajj Arafah, the Hajj Arafah. This is the key day. You have to really focus on the times. So the times we need to be there is from Dhuhr until Maghrib. And if you enter any time from the time of Dhuhr and you're there after Dhuhr, it becomes wajib, compulsory upon you to stay until Maghrib time. If you leave before then you have to offer the fidya, which is the penalty, which is to slaughter a sheep for leaving early before, because you have to stay until Maghrib. And then after that, you go to Muzdalifah. But before mentioning Muzdalifah, it's important, what if somebody's delayed and doesn't enter until after Maghrib? What does he do? Somebody, for example, something happened, he came late, missed a flight, car trouble, and a lot of things could have happened on the way, and they missed between Dhuhr and Asr. So what do? So alhamdulillah, you have until Fajr.
SubhanAllah. Mercy,
alhamdulillah. The Prophet says, whoever stands at Arafah before that, then he's made the Hajj. Alhamdulillah. So anytime, anywhere in Arafah, just make sure you stand on the right spot. You get into Arafah, even if you're just like driving through it, and just staying there just for a few minutes, that's enough. As long as before Fajr, alhamdulillah, then you've hit the time, which is the Rukan, the pillar of Islam, you've reached it. Alhamdulillah.
It's a good point you mentioned about where you can stand anywhere. Some people, when they go to Arafah, they race to go to the Mount Arafah.
Very good. They call it Rahmah.
Yeah, Jabal Rahmah.
Jabal Rahmah. They name it the Mount of Rahmah.
Isn't it? The name's an innovation.
Yeah, the name it's not there in the Sunnah. But what's important is the Prophet ﷺ, he stood at the mountain because that's where he stood. And he put his back towards the mountain and he said, وَقَفْتُ هَا هُنَا وَعَرَفَ كُلْهَا مَوْقِفْ. He said that I stood here, and he said, but Arafah is all a mawqif. So it's all, you can stand anywhere in Arafah. It's very important to understand this. It doesn't matter where you are in Arafah, there's no other ajr or reward.
It has the same reward, doesn't it?
The same everywhere. Yeah. And going to that mountain and searching for that, it's not from the Sunnah. The Prophet didn't do it. So that's why he said very clear. He said, I stood here, and Arafah is all a place to stand. You could say anywhere in Arafah. So he made it clear. If it was Sunnah, it would have been made clear that it's better to do it here. But he told the people right away that I'm not standing here. And basically, we understand from what he's saying. I'm not standing here because it's Sunnah. Because Arafah, you can stand anywhere. But this is where I stood. I don't waqaftu hauna. Okay? So this is the first thing. Secondly, when it comes to coming to that mountain, and even worse than just coming to the mountain, some people actually climb it.
The top.
Thinking that's going to be like more ibadah, or more dua on the top of the mountain. And many of the scholars said that it's a form of bid'ah, form of innovation. The likes of Imam al-Nawawi and Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. All of them, they said that it's a form of bid'ah. And this is correct.
And also they're racing and competing and physically harming each other in a way as well.
They physically harm one another, and you're climbing a mountain, and most of them are not in shape, They're not in a mountain climbing shape anyways. So he gets to the top and he's physically drained.
Yes.
And he's sitting in the sun when, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for the people who are coming from their countries tents. Just to be out of the sun so you can focus on worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly. And here you have this person, and they might be coming from the other side of Arafah, walking all this way through the traffic, through this, and getting to the mountain, then getting to the top, and they don't benefit anything from that day.
What I've seen is most people try to copy blindly. There are so many things that are done, especially when you go to Medina for ziyarah. You will see people rubbing on the walls, people trying to make dua at the bakia, and some people, as soon as they see some people doing, they also rush in doing. This case of climbing the mountain at Arafah, I remember 3 years ago, that was even Mina. People were just climbing mountains there, and a gentleman climbed the mountain, and from the morning to the after Asr, he was still there. He was finding it difficult to come down. So this fire service vehicle that has this long ladder,
yes,
they have to straight the ladder there to
get him down.
To get him down.
It was
yeah,
exhausting.
emergency.
He couldn't get down, huh?
Couldn't get
Yeah,
down.
yes. So we have to be very careful. We don't worry ourselves on things that are not going to benefit us as far as our Hajj is concerned.
And then regarding going to Muzdalifah, what we need to point out regarding to Muzdalifah is we leave when? After Maghrib, and as soon as the Maghrib is called. And alhamdulillah, now and you have people who go, groups who go on the train, groups who go on buses. Whenever you get to your set place where your group is going to stay, it's sunnah to what? Pray right away. Maghrib and Isha. Isha, obviously 2 rakats. And then to sleep, the Prophet ﷺ, he slept for the entire night. And the scholars mentioned that what's understood from the hadith is that he slept for the entire night, meaning that he didn't even do any form of ibadah. Even they differ, did he pray witr or not? Because he's never, we know from the general sunnah that he never left witr alayhi salatu wasalam. They said, no, but here, the correct opinion is that he didn't even pray witr, inshallah ta'ala. This is what some scholars see. Because he said, the hadith said that he slept and for the entire night. Now, some groups are going to leave early during the night. They're saying, what's wajib? Staying in Muzdalifah, it's wajib, it's compulsory, you must do it. Okay? And if you don't do it, then obviously once again you have to do the slaughtering for the penalty. But what's wajib is not the entire night. It's once again at least for half of the night, because the Prophet ﷺ, he gave permission for those who were for the ones who are the women and the weak ones. Weak, whether you mean being sick or elderly, okay? Or even some people who have children with them could fall into that category as well. So here you have, if your group has these people, then you have the permission to leave after half of the night. Some people say, but we're strong, we're youth, we're men, we don't need to do this. But if your group has, we discussed it, if you're with a group has this, then you're allowed to go with them. Because the Prophet ordered some of the Sahaba to go with the women, to go with this, even though they weren't weak themselves. Yeah. So if your group has the women and children, then it's permissible for you to go, Bismillah, to start the other things after the half of the night. In fact, if some people do that and some people stay, it also makes the moving easier as well. But if you do stay in Muzdalifah, it's sunnah to pray there, and then to pray Fajr there, and then to make dua before the shuruq. And if you can do it at the Mash'ar al-Haram, that's good. But if you can't get there, once again, what's important is that we have to keep reminding ourselves that some forms of sunnah, if they're going to harm yourself or harm others, it's actually more reward to leave them. Because you can make dua anywhere in there in Muzdalifah. And it gets also the ajr and also the sunnah. If you had 2 in 1 where you could actually do it at the Mash'ar al-Haram, Jimmy, that's good. But only people really going to be able to do that is the one who is actually posted up there for the night. And not everybody's going to do that, right? So wherever you are, that's where you do it, dua. Don't focus on trying to go there, because it's going to make crowding for the people, traffic, difficult for you. Some people might walk there, and then the group has to wait for them to come back. And he's going the opposite direction now to get back to his group, and that can cause even more problems. And they might even leave you at the end, So this is something that we need to focus on. These type of sunnahs that don't actually need to be done, you can get more reward if you leave them sometimes, if there's overall benefit for the ummah, inshallah.
Just one last question, sorry. Oh, I think it's time. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
وإياكم.
Bismillah.